similar to Hainesville Fest. I think it should be self-supporting through donations or charges, that even though we budgeted, I think, $10,000, possibly $11,000 for it this year, we should not spend that money.
Well, I agree it has to be less, because at the time we approved the budget, we didn't know quite what Illinois was doing or proposing, and we didn't know about the quadrennial assessment as far as what they were predicting would occur as far as percentages. So if you look at the handout as far as what we got in donations last year, and I haven't talked to everybody, but I think we could probably get about the same amount of money in donations. I don't have guarantees yet. Our two big donors will probably be willing to donate the same amount. I do not think you're going to get more from anyone, and I think a few will fall off and or reduce the amount, because businesses are enduring the same thing that we all are. They don't have a lot of extra money to throw around right now, and what they have, they're keeping, because everybody's nervous about what's coming down the road in the next 6 months to a year. So last year, Hainesville Fest total for every nickel and dime, the total came to $14,536. With the donations of $75.95, the village monies spent was $69.41. which did achieve our goal. We spent less than past years, even though we added more, because it was the first year we got sponsors. But let me go down the road. I'm going to start with you, John, put you in the hot seat. What is your feeling as far about a type of event or events? What are you leaning towards, or what do you hear from residents you talk to?
I'm partial to Hainesville Fest, but I mean,
well, and that's fine, Steve. Why?
I'm partial to Hainesville Fest. I think it's a well-received community event, and I think right now we are hard pressed to find well-received community events. And maybe we don't pay for all the catering ourselves, but we could make it, you know, $5 for an adult and $2 for kids, or kids eat free, and we'll recoup some of the money from the catering. But I am hard pressed to find another event that we've done since I've lived here that is as well received as Hainesville Fest, and it's the one event that we have throughout the year that we get more than 3 people to.
The only thing I will say, since I've lived here longer, and there's a couple other on the board that have, is I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I do go back to the picnic of the 150th. That was a very successful picnic. We've had a couple successful parades in town. And I would love to try a concert in the park. Whether you do Hainesville Fest or not, I think it's
as part of Hainesville Fest. Because I mean, you would conceivably want the concert in the park to be at night anyway. So it would still be essentially the same thing. We wouldn't be doing the DJ this year because that was horrible. We wouldn't be doing all of the amusements that we had done last year. I think the $5 value bracelets were extremely well received.
Very well received.
And a lot of people saw a great value in that for their money. And clearly we didn't make back anything close to what we were going to do with the awesome amusements. But everybody was having fun, and it was one of the, I mean, I don't know how many people, I'll ask you because you were here, when it was the 150th, how many residents did we have?
Well, we have pictures in the other room, which I debated bringing in here, but we were only about 1.5 subdivisions, but we had a tremendous turnout. I mean, it was, boy, I don't know, Kelly, if we can pull the records, but we were astounded at the numbers we had for the kids, because they had to reserve ahead of time because of the food. And of course, it was the 150th. You know, it was very well covered. It's a landmark event, and also it was the other unique element. Granted, that probably gave it strength. It was a group of all brand new residents that had all moved in, you know, within the last year or two. And so it was a bonding event, I think, for a lot of residents too.
Well, this kind of fits along that line too. When we first moved here almost 14 years ago, my wife, Mark's wife, Ted and Pavlovich, we put on block parties every year. And after about 5 or 6 of them, they just started dying. Instead of including the whole block, it kept getting smaller and smaller, changed hands a little bit. I think the bottom line was it got old. So maybe we could look at Hainesville Fest on an every other year basis, or something like Hainesville Fest, and do concert in a park or something else on the alternating year.
Okay, that's a good point. Actually, it's interesting you say that, because Gary brought up, when I talked to him again earlier today, he said, well, maybe we do a spectacular Hainesville Fest every 2 or 3 years. And you do, especially if where money's going to be tight the next few years. And then you try to do the picnic or the concert in the parks in the years in between, and mix it up a bit. I mean, I've served on PTOs and church committees, and it's always the same thing. You got to change the events around. Things get old. The themes get old. You got to do something different. One other thing, though, on the money aspect, a big point last year, we liked the $5 bracelets because it made it very affordable for families, and a lot of families came up and thanked us for making it affordable. And that's why I was very upset about the pricey food, because when you're holding an event for residents, you are spending, bottom line, village revenues and a portion of their tax dollars on an event or a party. So you want to make sure it's something that most people want or would be happy with. But then to have them come and ask them to pay a very high price for something else, I feel is very wrong. So I agree that like subsidizing the cost of the food is appropriate, making it very affordable. But that you're not going to ask for all the money back because you're spending their money to begin with. The idea of a community event is to build community strength and spirit and bonding. So I just ask you all to keep that in mind. I want to move on to Wally. Wally, you're next in the hot seat.
Yeah, I'm next in the hot seat. Really, what comes to mind to me is how many people really actually came out and enjoyed it? I mean, could you go by the bracelets were sold and stuff like that and say, okay, well, we sold 100 bracelets or something like that? Or, you know, what was the outturn as far as the resident population showing up at that event?
I don't know, we sold $883 in bracelets and they were $5 a piece, right? Right.
Well, that was between the ticket sales too. Like I think that was
They could buy individual tickets for certain.
for the games.
For the games.
stuff. So I think that
You're saying about 160 people.
160
You know, if you're going $5.
if you're going.
160 kids. Right.
160 kids because the bracelets were only for the rides.
Oh, okay.
Which is quite a bit.
Yeah, the food you were on your own, and that was the one food vendor for hamburgers, the corn. We did have another vendor that was good, that was more reasonable, the lemonade and the funnel
I
cakes.
think we should have
Well, I do believe that we have to watch our spending, okay? And I believe that we should try to make it so as self-supporting as possible, okay, without using the village funds. And that's what I really do believe. I was, the concert in the park sounds good. It sounds like a one-night event, which wouldn't be too costly. But the thing is, we're also probably leaving out the kids at that time. So do we want to leave the kids out of that?
Well, and that's the question. Do you have something that same day for the kids, or do you do something different? Is there something separate for the kids?
If you have something the same day, I mean, that seems fast. Then, you know what I mean? It's like,
You transform at 5 o'clock.
Well, but then Hainesville Fest still transforms, because is Hainesville Fest just, you know, the games tailored down, and then in the evening you show up with a picnic basket and have wine and beer, and we forego the caterer? Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe you just have the funnel cakes and the lemonade and the, you know, that kind of stuff.
we could also look for another food vendor. I mean, I think idea is kind of cool, but it is very expensive.
I didn't ever see that with a food vendor, unless it's a caterer like this, for the amount that they have to sell. But I don't know that any food vendor could come in and make any money.
Well, a woman could make change from 10 $10.
Yeah, but my point is, they didn't do that much in sales. That's why they were charging so much. A lot of people don't want to come and have to buy, if you have 3 children, I don't want to buy a $5 burger for each kid. You know, they were charging, and then fries were $4 an order. I mean, granted, you could split that, but that's, you know, I can go somewhere else, spend a lot less.
Well,
So,
keep in mind, we got those, I purposefully got the caterers to estimate high. And we purposely
oh
estimated
yeah, I
much
understand.
more than
I understand.
I think we got, because I didn't want it to say, well, estimate us on 100 people, they come back with $1,000, and then all of a sudden, budget time comes around, and it turns out it was 5. Because that would have been
Right, working, yeah.
worthy of the state, but, you know, maybe not worthy of our budgeting process.
Wally, do you have any other thoughts? Georgianne?
Well, I think that there's some things that we can reduce the costs on, looking at the Hainesville Fest expenses. I think that you doing a survey would be very helpful, because here we are planning something for the residents when we don't have a clue what they're really thinking. I agree with John as far as if we have it catered. I think that it should be $5 for each adult and $2.50 for each kid, and we can sell tickets so that we don't have to have people standing in line, you know, throwing out money, or however we would do that. You know, 2 different color bracelets for the food or something. I don't think that the village should be covering the cost of the food. I think that price is reasonable enough for a whole dinner for a family. I like the idea of a concert, and I think that that we could do it either way. That we could do it as a picnic, and actually we could do it with a picnic and a wine tasting. We could do it with something in the fun cakes and lemonade. But I don't. I guess I'd like to do the concert regardless of whether we do Hainesville Fest. But I'd really like to get input from the residents before we make a final decision as to whether we even bother with Hainesville Fest. And what kinds of things they want. Maybe we can cut it down to, you know, the things that were really popular, and the other things that, you know, were just so. Well, some of these things you've crossed out already. But I think we can cut down. I don't think we need to have restaurants that were, you know, fit for a king. And, you know, just some other things that we can maybe do for less.
Okay. All right, Kevin, your turn.
My turn. Well, you know, I've participated and helped with every Hainesville Fest since its inception, and basically we've, like you said, that, you know, we've all come along the lines where, you know, it's always been very family oriented during the day, and then at nighttime, you know, even a few times where it got really, really cold and damp, where it was, you know, August and we're like all frozen out there. I think to change the venue a little bit would be to scale down on the rides and activities during the days for the kids, because if it's during summer and baseball's still going on and soccer and God, whatever else is going on out there, lacrosse and everything like that, maybe we go back towards the line. I was thinking, which is something I want to throw out here, a blues festival, have several different blues bands play the venue, and then have, you know, guns and winos, whatever, and then bring in a couple, like you said, a couple craft brew people, and then the caveat to all that is to have some type of food available, because the last thing you want to do is put a bunch of wine and a bunch of beer people at a blues show and not have any food there at all. But I think that would be a nice change for venue to offer some people, because it's been the same standard genre for the bands for the last 3 or 4 years now. And I mean, yes, the bands are good, but, you know, do something completely different. Shake it up, drop it right on its head, and throw a blues festival out there. And try something like that, and, you know, yes, have some activities for the kids during the days, and then start the bands at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you have one at 2 to 4 or 3 to 4.